Ever feel like your English is stuck just because you're alone? What if I told you that the most powerful English-speaking class is behind your bedroom door? And guess what? Your best speaking partner might just be your mirror. Hi, my beautiful friends. Welcome back to my channel. And if this is your first time here, I'm truly glad you're joining us. Today's topic is incredibly special because it's something every English learner has faced at some point in their journey. Let me ask you something. Have you ever wanted to practice English but found yourself completely alone with no one to talk to? Yep, I've been there. Just me, my room, and a deep desire to speak fluent, confident English. It felt awkward at first talking to myself, pretending I was in a real conversation. I mean, who does that, right? But what if I told you that speaking English alone at home didn't just help me improve, it changed everything? When done right, it helps you start thinking in English, even dreaming in English, and eventually speaking naturally and confidently. So, get comfortable, maybe grab a drink, and stick with me. Because in this video, I'm going to walk you through everything I did, my honest struggles, my tiny victories, and my favorite techniques that actually work. By the end, you'll feel empowered to begin your own solo English-speaking journey, right where you are. Let's dive right in. First things first, you do not need to wait for someone to speak English with you. I mean it. There's no requirement to have a partner, a teacher, or even a native speaker by your side. What you truly need is already with you. Your voice and your determination. I remember the first time I spoke English out loud to myself. I stood in front of my mirror and quietly said, "Hi, my name is Priya. I like coffee." That tiny moment felt so big to me. It was strange. It was simple. And yes, I laughed at myself right after. But that was the start. Every day, I added a little more. I talk about what I was doing in the present moment. I am brushing my teeth. I am cooking rice. I am feeling sleepy. These weren't complicated ideas, but they were real. And that's the key, using English for real, everyday thoughts. Think about it. When you were a baby learning your first language, did you study grammar rules or memorize long word lists? No. You heard basic, repeated sentences over and over until they became natural. That's the exact approach we need when learning English alone. So what did I do? I turned my room into my personal English world. I made everything part of my practice. While cooking, I'd say, "I'm chopping onions." I loved the smell of garlic. Looking out the window, I'd whisper, "It looks like it might rain today." These weren't just sentences. They were moments of practice, built into my life. And guess what? It worked. Slowly but surely, English stopped being a subject I studied and became a language I lived. One powerful thing I discovered was how repetition builds confidence. The more I spoke about ordinary tasks, the more fluent I became without even realizing it. I wasn't thinking about grammar or trying to be perfect. I was just talking. And that freedom allowed my speaking ability to grow naturally. Another trick that transformed my routine was going on what I call English thinking walks. Every evening, I'd take a short walk around my neighborhood. While walking, I'd whisper to myself in English. If people were nearby, I would just move my lips without making a sound. Still, my brain was working, forming English sentences non-stop. It was like having a quiet conversation in my mind. And it made a big difference. Over time, I started feeling like English wasn't foreign anymore. It felt like a friendly language. Something I could play with, think in, and express myself through. That shift in mindset was everything. English stopped being scary and started becoming a part of my daily life. Now let's talk about the mirror. Yes, your mirror. It's more powerful than you think. Every night before bed, I stood in front of my mirror and spoke in English for 5 minutes. I'd talk about my day. I woke up late today. I didn't do anything exciting, but I feel calm. Or I'd share my dreams. I want to visit New York. I want to speak fluently. I believe I can do it. The mirror helped me become more aware of my expressions, tone, and body language. It gave me immediate visual feedback. And best of all, it never judged me. That's something we all need when learning. A space that feels safe and supportive. One of my favorite methods is shadowing. Have you ever tried it? Shadowing means listening to native English and repeating it at the same time. It could be a YouTube video, a movie clip, or a podcast. You copy the speaker's tone, speed, and pauses. It's like being their echo. And let me tell you, it works wonders. At first, I paused after each sentence to repeat. Then, I tried keeping up in real time. It was challenging and hilarious. I messed up a lot. But that's what made it so effective. My ears, mouth, and brain started working together. And soon, I was sounding more natural without even trying. Another game changer was creating a spoken diary. Every night, instead of writing, I'd open the voice recorder on my phone and talk. Just 2 or 3 minutes. I'd talk about my feelings, what happened during the day, or something small that made me smile. I felt tired today, but I watched a funny video and laughed so much. That's it. The goal wasn't perfection, it was expression. And hearing my voice in English made it all feel more real. Over time, those short recordings became a map of my progress. I could hear how my confidence had grown, how my voice had changed. Sometimes I'd even pretend I was on a phone call. I'd walk around my room, saying things like, "Hey, how have you been? Oh, really? That sounds fun. I watched a movie last night." It was amazing. It sounds silly, right? But this helped me practice casual, real-life conversations, the kind you'd actually have with a friend. Of course, there were days when I felt shy or even embarrassed talking to myself. I wondered, am I weird for doing this? But then I reminded myself this is how growth begins. We must be brave enough to look silly for a moment so we can be proud of our progress tomorrow. There's no shame in practicing alone. In fact, it's one of the bravest things you can do. You're showing up for yourself. You're creating your own learning space. That's powerful. As I kept exploring new ways to speak English solo, I discovered fun tools and exercises to keep things fresh. One of them was labeling. I'd take sticky notes and label everything in my room: lamp, door, table, mirror. Every time I touched an object, I'd say its name in English. It sounds simple, but it built my vocabulary so naturally. Then I started reading aloud. Just one short paragraph from a book or article. I'd focus on pronunciation and even pretend I was acting. I'd exaggerate emotions, play with my voice, and bring the words to life. That made English exciting, not boring. Another fun method I used was describing random images. I'd open Google Images or look at a photo on my phone and describe everything I saw in English. In this picture, there's a man wearing a blue jacket. He's walking in the snow. The sky is grey. This exercise trained my brain to form sentences quickly, without overthinking. I also loved role-playing different situations. I'd pretend I was booking a hotel, ordering at a restaurant, or doing a job interview. "Hello, I'd like to order a coffee, please." Then I'd switch roles. "Sure, would you like milk and sugar with that?" These pretend conversations made me feel prepared for the real world. Recording dialogues with myself became another favorite. I'd write short scripts with 2 characters, and I'd voice both of them, changing my tone slightly to match each role. Playing both sides of the conversation helped me improve pacing, rhythm, and flow. I even explored different accents. I'd pick an American, British, or Australian speaker, watch an interview, and try mimicking their style. I didn't aim for perfection. I just wanted to understand the rhythm and melody of each accent. Over time, my own natural accent became smoother and easier to understand. Some days I created short monologues. I'd pick a topic like my dream job or my favorite movie and speak for 1 full minute. I didn't prepare. I just spoke. It wasn't always smooth, but that was the point. Those pauses and hesitations showed me exactly what to work on next. If I wanted a challenge, I'd use speaking prompt apps. They'd ask questions like, "What would you do with $1 million?" And I'd answer right away. It felt like speed training for my English brain. And then came my favorite challenge, the 30-day solo speaking challenge. Every day I chose one topic. Day 1, introduce yourself. Day 2, describe your room. Day 3, talk about your favorite food. After 30 days, I had spoken more English than I had in months of classes. It was empowering. Even though I was practicing alone, I found ways to stay connected. I joined online language communities where people shared audio clips. I wasn't brave enough to post mine at first, but listening to others gave me inspiration. When I finally shared one of my voice recordings, I received kind feedback that encouraged me to keep going. One secret weapon I always recommend is keeping an error log. I'd write down little things I noticed while speaking, mistakes I made, words I mispronounced, grammar points I wasn't sure about. Then, I'd review that list each week. Bit by bit, those weaknesses became strengths. To measure my growth, I created a simple spreadsheet. Every time I recorded something, my diary, a shadowing session, a mini speech, I'd write down the date, how long I spoke, one thing I did well, one thing to improve, and one new word I used. Looking back at that sheet after a month was amazing. I could literally see my progress. Another tip, create a pre-speaking ritual. Before I spoke, I'd take a deep breath, smile at myself in the mirror, and remind myself of one recent win. Yesterday, I spoke for 2 minutes without pausing. That little boost of positivity made a big difference. Eventually, I started experimenting with more advanced techniques. I tried question and answer mapping, writing common questions on one side of a page and answering them on the other. Then, I'd practice responding without looking. It felt like a real conversation. Sometimes, I'd even roleplay in 2 languages, asking a question in my native language and answering in English, or vice versa. That helped me think faster and switch more smoothly between languages. Shadowing also got more intense. I'd shadow at regular speed, then slow it down to hear every syllable, and then speed it up to challenge myself. This made me more comfortable with fast English, the kind we hear in movies and real life. One of my most creative ideas was starting a mini podcast. Just me, a topic I loved, and my voice. I'd pretended I was speaking to an audience, asking myself questions, telling stories. It was so much fun, and when I listened back, I could clearly hear how much I'd improved. I even created full English immersion days. For a few hours, I'd speak, think, write, and even sing only in English. It was intense, but it was like traveling without leaving home. And after those immersion sessions, regular English practice felt easier. Most importantly, I learned to celebrate small wins. Every time I spoke a sentence without translating, every time I used a new word, every time I recorded a full minute, I rewarded myself. A piece of chocolate, a walk outside, or an episode of my favorite show. These small rewards kept me motivated. And that, my friend, is the real secret to speaking English alone. Consistency, creativity, and kindness to yourself. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep going. Now it's your turn. Pick one method. Just one. Start today. Speak in the mirror, record your voice, narrate your walk, or sing in English. Turn your room into your private English-speaking studio. And remember, every time you choose to speak English, even when no one is watching, you are growing. You are building fluency. And you are preparing yourself for the conversations that will shape your future. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I hope you feel inspired and ready to speak English alone like never before. If you found this helpful, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to celebrate your very first step today. Your English journey starts with your voice. Let's speak it into reality.